It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
Welcome into the Sports Blitz on a Monday. Got a jam-packed show for you today as we look at some local sports, some statewide stuff, some hog talk in our CrossFit Russellville poll question. Then we go on to national sports. Was this the best NBA first round ever?
That I've seen, yes. I'm just going to say it now, yes.
Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter in the Cogswell Motors Studios. Lots of stuff to talk about today, but Weldon, man, we had a great weekend of sports. I got to watch a whole lot of basketball from the hospital.
You did, Mark, and the reason you did, we have to give you a congratulations. Mark Freeman, the father of Hayden Blake Freeman, is that the right name?
That's my guy. That's my guy.
He will be the next sensational basketball player here in the River Valley. That's if Mark stays in the River Valley. He's such big time.
We may go prep school route or something else. I don't know.
Can I make a correction?
What's that?
His legal name. Now they want to call him Hayden Blake. That's fine. I don't care.
Man,
whatever. His legal name is LeBron James Matty David Freeman.
Oh,
and there's still room for you, Weldon. So you know.
I don't want to have to face Mark's wife when that comes down. So I'm going to stay out of this situation.
Well, I did one time. It wouldn't go well for you, Weldon.
Didn't work very well. Yeah, that was early pregnancy. She had just found out she was pregnant, and Maddie came in the house, and it was on.
See, I can take on any dude. I ain't afraid of any dude. You can stick him right in front of me. But a mad wife,
I'll pass. Yeah, she's doing very well. He's doing very well. He's cute as can be. So thank you. But anyway, we got some good stuff going on in the area. While I'm trying to father this child here and wake up in the middle of the night and do some diaper duty, we are putting on the Brightest Stars Banquet. I don't know if you've heard, but if you haven't been paying any attention. We've got tickets available at the top right of the River Valley Leader page, so you can go to rivervalleyleader.com, top right there, buy tickets to the Brightest Stars Banquet. It's going to be the 29th, so 24 more days until Aaron Peters is coming to town, Italian Gardens is catering, and we're having 100 and some odd student athletes from the River Valley who are going to honor with Player and Coach of the Year awards in their respective sports. We've got 10 different schools from the area and 22 total awards to give away. We're giving a plaque to the winners of these awards, and each nominee will be getting a certificate. So what we've done is we've asked the coaches to nominate players that they think are the best players on their team, the best representatives in their sport, and we've taken those 3 nominees from each school, put them on a ballot, sent it back to the coaches, and let them vote for a winner. We've got the winners, we've got the nominees, we've got the finalists. The final 3, the ones that got the most votes, are going to be invited to this banquet on May 29th, and we're going to announce the winners, sort of ESPYs-ish. It's going to add a little level of intrigue to it. Weldon, I was talking to some coaches and some family members from local schools. They're getting a little bit excited about it because in a lot of these, there are some awards where you can look at the names on and who's going to win.
Right.
It's just very few of them. And then there's a couple of awards where only one school nominated. But in several of these sports, not only are you going to be surprised when you see who won, but you're going to look and you're going to say, I have no idea who's going to win this award.
Yeah,
so it's kind of cool.
And that does bring a little drama to it. And really, that's just a testament to the type of athletes that are here in the River Valley, because it's great when you have a star athlete or a big-time player who sticks out and they're going to win the award. And that may be the case with a few of them, but it's also nice to say, wow, that player from Dardanelle is really good. Wow, that player from Russellville was good. Hey, that Hector player was good too. Wonder who's going to pull it off. They all could do it. And then you see one of them ultimately win. It is exciting. It does bring that SP drama to it. I don't know if Aaron Peters will be cracking jokes, though, but it'll have an SP's feel to it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I have talked to him a little bit, and he's kind of looking for direction as far as how he needs to conduct
the vibe,
things. Yeah. And really what I think we're going to do is it's going to be a higher class type event, no tuxes and stuff like that, but it's going to be a better I don't want to call it better than the other ones because I've never been really to the other ones, but I've heard about how every coach has to get up there and make a speech. And I've actually had some coaches who've asked me, what do I have to do anything? What do I have to do? Coaches, it's all off your shoulders on this one. I know a lot of these football coaches are just getting through spring practice into fall or summer, preparations, and baseball legions about to get started, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. These coaches don't really have time to come up with a nice speech and to say something. So what we're doing is we're making it to where Maddie's going to do a production from the finalists, and you're going to get to see pictures of them floating around, and you're going to get to have the presenter come up. These are the finalists. This is the player of the year, and the winner is. And so the coaches won't have to do anything. The player won't have to make a speech or anything like that. They just accept their award. Everybody gives them a hand. We step them to the side, take a picture of them. At the end of the night, we take a picture of everybody, and we just we make a big deal out of it. And for a lot of these kids, they're really good. I know a lot of these kids are just really good kids, but a lot of them haven't gotten the notoriety, and they haven't really been, they may, in their school banquet, they may have an athletics banquet within their own school, but to be recognized among 10 schools in the River Valley, and to know that, I was looking at this, and 9 of the 10 schools have a winner in these awards. I won't tell you who's won what, but 9 of these 10 schools have a winner. So you're going to see Russellville, the biggest school in the area, nominated against a smaller school, and that smaller school win. It's going to happen. There are a couple of these awards where, you've got all the schools in the area. Think about the 2A all the way up to 6A schools,
right?
And you're going to see the 2A schools win some awards. You're going to see the 6A teams win some awards. It's not just Russellville's the big school, so they're winning everything.
And that's the way it should be, because it's not about how much you resonate across the state as far as, well, Russellville's the bigger school, more well-known. That's not what it's about. And I can say this, I think I speak for everybody. Thank the good Lord we are not having individual speeches from coaches. I mean, are we trying to be there 5 hours, 6 hours? Absolutely not. Mark, great idea. Time efficiency is everything. You come in, you enjoy the atmosphere. You're honored. Aaron Peters will be doing his thing, speaking and presenting and all of that. You have a good meal. You can go home. We all feel good about ourselves. Perfect.
Yeah, we're going to get there, welcome everybody, and eat. Isn't that what we want to do at 6 o'clock? You want to get dinner? So Italian Gardens buffet style serving there. They're going to have 2 different entree options. They're going to have dessert, salad. They're going to have the works there for us. So it's going to be a good event. And then we'll get straight into the awards after that, give you a couple minutes to digest, and we'll get some photos of the winners, and we'll just have a quick night, an hour and a half or so, and we'll have the event over with so you can get back home at a decent hour. You don't have to stay up all night on a school night. It's a Thursday, so it's not on the weekend, and it's not early in the week. It's sort of late in the week. You can plan your week around it.
Right.
I'm just hoping that a lot of folks will show up, and like we've said, we've got the winners will be able to have a free ticket for themselves, 2 parents. If if their parents aren't around, they can take grandparents or somebody else, but they have 2 tickets for parents or family to go with them, and then their head coach. So there's 4 tickets for every person who's a finalist, and then the nominees, although they'll have to buy a ticket and they're $25 a piece, all the other nominees who aren't finalists are welcome to come. We want to, what I'm going to have everybody do is just all the nominees, we will have given them when they come in their certificate, and we'll just have them all stand up and we'll recognize them as nominees for the event and in their particular sport. So it's going to be a cool opportunity for up to 600 people to kind of, honor these kids who get to stand up. And now I saw that Lamar had their banquet the other night, and a couple of these kids, they're beaming at the Lamar sports banquet.
Right.
And nothing against their own sports banquet, but you think about how cool it's going to be to see these kids honored in front of their peers from the entire River Valley. I can't get over how cool it's going to be. I know if I were nominated, it would be a huge deal to me.
Oh, yeah. Did they get you to speak at the Lamar banquet?
No, I was in the hospital, so
that's right.
Didn't get to go. Darn.
Otherwise, they should have asked you to speak at their banquet. Yeah, these banquets are great. I had them when I was in high school. Everybody is honored, and Mark, want to remind people what we're doing is the finalists are going to have something to take home. Is that right? everybody's going to have something.
Finalists, or everybody, all the nominees are going to have a certificate. Even the finalists, they'll get the same certificate, and then the winner will get the plaque.
Okay, see, that's great. So you're going to come home with something to hold in your hand, something to put on the shelf, hang up, whatever the case may be. And so I think that's great as well. You're not wasting your time and then have nothing to show for it once you get there. So it's going to be a great meal, a great event, great atmosphere. Again, if you're not a parent or a player or a coach and you still want to come, it's well worth the small investment to come be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's another thing. These tickets are $25 a piece. It may seem like a little pricey for a dinner, but the fact that these kids are going to get to experience, the community kind of gathering around and congratulating them, I'm sure it'll force some of them to work even harder next year just because they want to be nominated. I've heard from some of the schools, one of the schools in particular in the county over, that was talking about how they're it's a little bit of bragging rights amongst the school for the kids that got nominated because coach had to think highly enough of you to place you, I don't want to say above, but to think of you first before all the other players on your team. So that's a cool deal. Looking forward to that. May 29th, you can buy your tickets online at rivervalleyleader.com, and we've got some hard copies. What I'm going to do, I've talked with several of the schools. We're going to drop those off at some of the area high schools so that you can go to the front office if you want a ticket, and you can purchase it right there at your high school, and that's just the easiest way I could think to do it. And we've got a couple local businesses that are going to allow us to drop them off there as well. So I'll get you a couple of options to get a hard copy ticket. If you can't buy it online, say you're not one who purchases things online, you don't trust the internet, I can't blame you. But, I know I purchase stuff online, but you can buy these hard copy tickets, and they'll do the same thing, get you in there on the night of the event. We'll have a list of everybody who buys a ticket, all the finalists, and everybody who purchased an actual online ticket, and we'll have that list there. We'll check your name off when you walk in, so we'll know who bought a ticket before you get there. You won't have to worry about, I bought a ticket and it didn't show up. It'll be taken care of. So we'll make sure that everybody is accommodated, and we'll get to that on May 29th. We'll be giving you more information as we go along. Also, looking at Arkansas Tech. Well, let's stay with high school for just a moment. Arkansas Tech is doing well in the baseball tournament in the GAC, but Panther Serve Day. I'm getting to be a part of Clarksville High School's first ever Panther Serve Day Saturday. It's going to be a really cool event where we're going to go. I'm showing up at the school in the morning, and they're going to put us all together in groups, and they're going to send us off to do certain projects around the community. There's some folks that are cleaning up daycare center. There's some folks who are painting parking space lines. We're cleaning up at a local business along the side where there's been some trash dumped, and we've got folks that are just going to be doing stuff like that all through the day. It's a cool team building sort of exercise, Weldon, and it's just a way for the Clarksville football team to kind of get out in the community after spring practice.
Yeah. Spring practice is winding down. It's good to be able to do that. Coach Craner's trying to establish not only a program on the field with players, but also the community and rebranding, so to speak. We've talked about that at the University of Arkansas. I think it's applicable when you talk about the Clarksville Panther football program. You expect a turnaround on the field to take place at some point, and not to say that Clarksville players were bad off the field or anything like that, but a rebranding to say, hey, we're a different program, we're a different team, we're about a whole new issue as far as the community is concerned. So I think it's a great initiative.
Looking forward to it. Appreciate Coach Eli Craner for giving me the call to come out and be a part of Panther Serve Day. Need to move on real quickly to Arkansas Tech before we hit this first break. The 22-game winning streak for the baseball team came to an end in the first round of the GAC baseball tournament, but I think what they were doing was they were just kind of trying to get that pressure off. They were saying, we don't need to worry about this winning streak reaching X amount of games before we win the national championship. We just want to go ahead and let's just get into the losers bracket of the GAC. Let's make it a little harder on us just so we can prove to everybody that we're better than everyone else. They lost 6-3 to Ouachita Baptist in the first round of the GAC tournament, and then they came back in the elimination game and they waxed Southwestern Oklahoma 16-3, moved on to a next round in the elimination contest in the GAC baseball tournament. So the Wonder Boys sort of on their last legs in the GAC tournament. Obviously, being a top 10 team in the country, maybe even top 5 team in the number 3 team in the country, they're going to make the tournament up after this. But they've just got to get through the GAC unscathed as well as they possibly can.
Yeah, they'll be an at-large team, and baseball is a funny sport. I've said this before. Just you can always lose, no matter how good you are, no matter what your advantage is over an opponent physically. It's one of those times where you play a random game, you may lose. That's why baseball is a sport that's played in series, tournament format. Usually, you very rarely see single elimination type formats. You look at in Division I, we talk about regionals, and we know that's double elimination. And so, it's not a big deal for Arkansas Tech to lose. It doesn't mean like, something's all of a sudden wrong or anything like that. It's just baseball. I think it makes it amazing that they've been on this winning streak and their chances to go ahead and compete for a championship.
Yeah, they just need to get that out of the way so that they can go ahead and get hot again. So let's start a new one. We'll see if the Arkansas Tech Wonder Boys can go ahead and win the GAC, go on and win the national championship. You might as well not even stop there at the GAC. You're going to bring home the All Sports Trophy. You might as well bring home the hardware. The Arkansas Tech Trophy. You might as well bring that one home as well. Speaking of hardware, the Arkansas Tech Golden Suns golf team looking to bring home the women's golf trophy as well, and they're looking good after day one of the NCAA Super Regional. They are in first place. Rebecca Sertival 1 under 71, and Taylor Klein carded an opening round 73, which is 1 over, and the Arkansas Tech Golden Suns sitting atop the Super Regional standings in their ladies golf. So congratulations to the Golden Suns and the Wonder Boys. We'll hook up with some more Arkansas Tech here in a little bit. We've got to go to a break, and then when we get back, we've got Jameis Winston's suspension. We've got to look at that. And then also the question that we brought up earlier in the show, is this the best NBA first-round series? This is the best year of NBA playoff series ever. I think that the first round, it deserves some discussion. We'll look at that here in just a minute.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
NBA playoffs. Moving on to the second round. We've got 8 teams left. 8 teams eliminated in the first round. And just take a deep breath and prepare for Monday and Tuesday's heavyweight battles in the NBA playoffs as the Indiana Pacers survived the Atlanta Hawks in Game 7. The Washington Wizards just dispatched the Chicago Bulls in 5, and those are that's a Monday game there in Indianapolis. And then the Clippers survived the Golden State Warriors in 7 games. The Oklahoma City Thunder survived the Memphis Grizzlies in 7 games. Kind of got lucky that Memphis had some folks out. And then go to the Tuesday games, Miami-Brooklyn. I want to talk about each one of these series individually, but that one's going to be a good one. 6 o'clock tip on Tuesday, and then the late tip on Tuesday night. Probably, to me, the second most intriguing series, if not the most intriguing series, the Portland Trailblazers, who were able on a Damian Lillard buzzer beater 3 to win the series, taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, to me, I go Clippers Thunder is the most intriguing series, and Portland San Antonio is probably number 2.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Now wait a minute, Mark. You said something I just don't believe. I don't believe in your heart of hearts you believe Heat Nets is going to be a good series.
That's why I said that.
You said it was, but you don't believe it, though.
Well, I mean, no, that's why it's not on my intriguing list. It's third on the intriguing list because I really do feel, I tweeted this yesterday, you hear all this talk about how, Miami wants the Raptors to win because they're young and inexperienced and the Heat will run them out. But the Brooklyn Nets, man, they're just going to be able to come in and, this old school, they've swept them this year. They won 4 games. 2 of them Dwayne Wade didn't play. They won by 1 point. 1 point, overtime, 1 point. They weren't just killing the Miami Heat, and they beat them twice without Dwayne Wade. So I just see this being a series where Miami says, all right, you guys, you gave us everything you had during the regular season, and now we're hearing about how we don't want to face you. Yeah. We're full strength, and we've got a week off. You're toast, and Miami wins this in 4 or 5 games.
Oh, you got 4 or 5.
I mean, I could see that being the case. If I were to predict it, I would say 5 or 6, just because I give myself a little wiggle room. But if they swept them, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I've got Miami at 6. I've said that for the last month. And look, it is what it is. The Heat are clearly the better team. I don't think there's any question. I don't use Brooklyn's best chances for my case for it as they swept them. I think that is irrelevant. But I do think that Toronto would have been a much easier matchup for them because I look at Brooklyn. It's not about how good Brooklyn is. It's just about the way they play and who they have. It's about Paul Pierce. It's about the Brooklyn Nets being a pest. They're a team full of people you just don't like. Nobody likes Garnett. Nobody likes Paul Pierce. And the reason why I think they'll have a chance to avoid a sweep or take it beyond 5 is because they can't put the ball in the hole. And that's so important to me. That's why Chicago, even with Derrick Rose, teams that can't put the ball in the hole against Miami are relevant to me. I don't care what you say about defense and all these people, all tough. Brooklyn's undoing will be they can't defend. That'll be what Brooklyn's undoing will be. But I think Paul Pierce will be annoying enough to get him a game or 2 in this series. But I do agree I like Miami. Let me say this, though, Mr. Heat. They swept the Bobcats, but let's remember Miami wasn't playing great basketball at the end of the season. They kind of right the ship a little bit to against the Bobcats.
And Al Jefferson was hurt.
Al Jefferson was hurt. The issue with Miami has been so far, I think they'll get out of it, is their role players have not shot the ball well. They had to go to the graveyard, get the shovels out, and dig up James Jones from somewhere because Battier couldn't hit a shot. Even the great Ray Allen was struggling, Norris Cole. I think they'll hit shots, but they really need to start doing that for me to feel good about them winning the championship.
Yeah, one of the frustrating things about this series is going to be, and this is why I don't have it on the intriguing list, the games are going to be 95-88. It's going to be a slow grind because the Heat want to run, and Brooklyn is not going to let them run unless they just turn the ball over and Miami can get rolling. They're not going to be able to. Brooklyn's going to grind it down because they know they can't run with Miami, and that's one thing that frustrates me. And then just Paul Pierce's face.
I know.
You seen Wedding or it's what is it? stepbrothers. He said, I just want to put one of these right in your suck hole. I want to just punch Paul Pierce right in the face. I don't.
That's the beauty of
He would
Paul
kill me, but yeah, no, he just drives me nuts, man. I hate watching him play. And then he got the big block on Kyle Lowry the other day after he dribbled for a million years and should have passed it.
Yeah.
And he shoots the ball at the buzzer. Paul Pierce blocks it, and they win the game by 1 point. Just a great first round, man. I don't know that I've ever seen a better first round. Really, if you look at it, there were 2 bad series. You had Miami winning in 4, and that was Al Jefferson getting hurt, and then Washington winning in 5. Everything else was 7 games, 7 games, 7 games, 7 games, 6 games, 7 games.
Yeah, and we could have been talking about a Game 7 with Portland and Houston if Lillard doesn't hit that great shot. I mean, so many great first round series. Obviously, Clippers and Warriors went down to the wire. The Grizzlies, I think you mentioned this, but you kind of feel a little bit bad. You knew they didn't have much of a chance in Game 7.
Yeah, of course, Zach Randolph did do it to himself.
Oh,
but
it
did suck for the team as a whole that they weren't full.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. The thing about Oklahoma City is Kevin Durant's the best player, but Russell Westbrook's the barometer for that team.
Yep.
He is the thermostat. He is the guy that when he's playing ball in home point and you have 16 assists and you're Russell Westbrook, you might be battling your teammate for the second best player in all of basketball. I would go that far when Russell Westbrook's playing like that because physically nobody is in his league as far as a point guard is concerned. 29 points, 16 assists, and 10 boards. That dude's a ball player.
Yeah, no, there's no question he's really good. His decision making is one thing that worries me because he may have 10 assists or 10 rebounds and 30 points, but he shoots it 25 times a game, and you got Kevin Durant on your team.
Yeah.
I know between the two of them, there ought to be 50-plus shots a game, but to me, and it's impossible to do this because you can't just sit there and stare at a stat sheet all game long, but he ought to take fewer shots than Kevin Durant does every night. Unless Kevin Durant's just not hitting and he's on fire. But it's the way he's wired, and it's what makes him as good as he is. So it's kind of like it's tough to – it's kind of like Michael Jordan at the beginning of his career when he was shooting the ball every time. It seems like Russell Westbrook's got that killer instinct mode in his mind. He's not Michael Jordan, but he's got that I'm going to score every single time, and that's kind of what makes him as good as he is.
Yeah, the thing, Michael didn't have a Kevin Durant. See, the reason we get mad
true.
at Westbrook is because you got the best scorer in basketball right next to you. But when he is dialed in, he was kind of out of control to start Game 7. But once he got in control and started finding people and playing an all-around game like he did in Game 7 in the second half, dude is off the charts. And you look at this series with the Clippers. This is the one I really want to break down because I think there's so many things that can go on. The Thunder have a huge advantage in this series in so many different ways. I mean, it's just, first of all, Chris Paul's not 100%. Chris Paul is going to have to deal with Russell Westbrook one-on-one. I got to take it a step further. I think Scott Brooks has the power in his hands to dictate what the Clippers do with their lineup because you look at what the Clippers like to do with the two-guard spot. They like to go Redick or they like to go Crawford. They like to go Collison. Okay, Crawford is getting older. You make him play defense, you're going to get in his legs. J.J. Redick, I mean,
he ain't guarding anybody.
He ain't guard. So you can, if you play Reggie Jackson and Westbrook together, you can essentially tell Doc Rivers you have to play Darren Collison next to Chris Paul. That's all you can do. Other than that, we're going to take advantage of it. So I want to watch that. I want to watch Perkins elbow and get rough with Jordan because I mean Jordan.
Well, see, and I think it might go the other way. I think they might put Perkins on Blake Griffin just to because he's got 6 fouls and a scowl, man. He can sit in there and muck it up with him. And if they have to bring in Adams or if they have to bring in Collison for some more fouls, they could go ahead and do that.
To guard him one-on-one, but I'm talking like on the glass because DeAndre can get 20 boards a game if you let him. But you're right. They're not going to put Serge that much on Blake Griffin because they don't want Serge to get a lot of fouls. But and here's my thing with Chris Paul. I'm not getting on him, but the reason why I have a hard time getting behind Chris Paul being the best point guard is there's too many other point guards in the league that give him problems. He can't really do much with Tony Parker, even though we say he's better than Parker. He can't do anything. I know Westbrook gives everybody problems, but Westbrook kind of tortures him. So, I have a hard time with Chris Paul. I think the only way the Clippers win this series is if Scott Brooks gets grossly out-coached by Doc Rivers. Yeah, other than that, I can't really see the Thunder losing this series.
And, it's a theme with a couple of these teams is that the other team in their previous series gave them their best shot, and they're still standing. The Pacers, the fact that they overcame the Atlanta Hawks, who, granted, they're not very good. They were under 500. They were the 8 seed for a reason, but they punched Indiana in the mouth all series long. They dictated to them who they were going to play. They made them sit an all-star because he just couldn't do anything. He was just very, very ineffective, and Indiana's still standing. Brooklyn, they go play Toronto, and yeah, they won game 1, but then it was a dogfight from there on, and Brooklyn, just to the very last second, up 1 point, has to block a shot, or if they could have gone Damian Lillard on him, hit a shot at the buzzer and won the series.
Yeah.
So Brooklyn took their best shot. Portland, Houston, every one of those games was an incredible instant classic game, and Portland's still standing. San Antonio, 7 games with Dallas. Now, they destroyed them, and they just smoked them in Game 7, but they're still standing. Los Angeles Clippers and the Golden State Warriors. It was a track meet like we knew it was going to be.
Yeah.
Clippers survived. Oklahoma City, Memphis. That one, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm thanking my lucky stars every day that there's not a player left outside of maybe LeBron James that would guard Kevin Durant that's going to be like Tony Allen was.
Yeah.
Tony Allen is one that he didn't care at all about playing offense. He was just going to use every bit of his energy. Don't you hate that guy if you've ever played basketball who he doesn't care about scoring down there? He's going to waste all his energy chasing you around nose to nose.
Yeah.
I've had that happen, and it's no fun.
Oh, so you got Durant treatment.
I've had it before where you hit a couple shots and people are just like, nope, forget that. You are not getting another shot off, and they just follow you around, and it's kind of funny sometimes, but it gets a little old when it's 7 games worth of it for Kevin Durant.
Oh yeah. Us mere mortals wouldn't know about the way you and Kevin Durant get guarded.
Yeah.
But yeah, that KD is going to be a tough matchup for the Clippers because they're going to try a little bit of Granger. They're going to try Matt Barnes, and while Matt Barnes is a pest, he's annoying. That's what I love about him. He's not nearly as athletic. Now, he's longer than Tony Allen, but not nearly as athletic. I think Kevin Durant can
doesn't have
his
the
way.
defensive instincts either.
Yeah. I mean, so I think that'd be a tough matchup for him. But one series I'm looking at, and you may be right about this. I may be wrong. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say this. I just can't get excited about the Spurs and the Blazers because Portland defensively, their discipline, it worries me. Because I watched them play in the regular season, and you're like, man, these young athletes, and the Spurs have a left-handed dude with a bald spot. I mean, this ain't gonna be close, and they just sliced poor Portland apart. These old dudes running around here. If Portland doesn't solidify themselves defensively and be able to guard them as a team, I don't know how Portland can win this series. Just from a youth, from a discipline.
So where are you going?
I'm inclined to say Spurs in 5. I'll give Portland a 6 game. I can't go more than 6. Just because the Spurs, I think they'll slice them. I think they're gonna slice them.
You're probably right. I'm going to be rooting for Portland for 2 reasons. One, I don't like San Antonio, and I do. It scares me that if they got back to the finals against the Heat, that they would do the same thing they did last year, and that's dominate a lot of the series. But I do think San Antonio wins in 6 or 7. But the question then gets to, look at the Clippers and the Thunder over there in the other Western Conference series, and then San Antonio, if they go to a 7th game again with Portland, I mean, these guys are not young. These guys are not spring chickens. They're playing 14 games before they get to the conference finals,
right.
And then they'd have to face Oklahoma City or Los Angeles. The West team is going to be pretty beat up before they get to the East team. And if you're Miami, like I said, I think they're about to roll up Brooklyn. I think they're just about to destroy them. And then Indiana, they may be getting it together against Washington, and Washington and Indiana, one of those 2 teams, is going to give Miami a pretty good series. But, man, this team in the West that's coming out of the West is going to have gone through a war, which I think can help them and hurt them.
I think if it's the Clippers or the Spurs, I think they're going to be beat up. If one of those 2 teams made it to the final, I think the Thunder would be okay physically just because I think their legs, even though they have some aging guys, Caron Butler, but their main players are younger. And I think, again, I could be wrong, I just don't think San Antonio has enough to really bother Oklahoma City. I know that's crazy. The Spurs are great, but it's a bad matchup for the Spurs. And I love watching San Antonio. I love how they play, but I got to be real. The Spurs better hope the Clippers win this series. I think they'll take the Clippers out in 5 or 6. The Spurs will dispose of the Clippers, but if it's the Thunder, oof.
Looks like Kevin Durant is going to be the MVP. That's a shocker of the year right there, isn't it? I don't think there have been any other awards leaked or announced since we last took the air, but I do see that we talked about this before, whether or not Mark Jackson would make it out of if they didn't make it out of the first round, if he would keep his job. And it looks like Steph Curry's coming to his defense. It's going to be hard for the Golden State management to get rid of him, but I'm not sure that they're going to be able to keep him.
Yeah, and the thing with Mark Jackson, if you look at some of his issues, it's been more about management and how he's dealt with management. I think on the court, they're disappointed in the first round loss, but here's a guy who's had issues with his assistant coaches. One coach they fired for spying on him and recording their conversations. Then he's been kind of a hard guy to work for and work with, from what I'm understanding, in Golden State. And then, of course, losing the first round doesn't help, but you got to put it in perspective. He's made them more consistent than they were. You got to go back to the Chris Mullins days before they were really this consistent, this much of a factor. They needed Andrew Bogut. That would have helped them. And they need a little bit more roster-wise. I think he should stay, but if the management issue doesn't get cleaned up, then he could be gone.
So I've got Miami in 4 or 5. I'll go Indiana in 7 against the Washington Wizards. Man, that's a tough series.
Yeah,
it's kind of scary. We hadn't talked a whole lot about that one. I'll go Oklahoma City in 6 over the Los Angeles Clippers, and I'll go with San Antonio in 7 over Portland, although that's a coin flip for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to take the San Antonio Spurs in 6 games against Portland. I'm going to take the Oklahoma City Thunder in 6 games over the Clippers. And then in the Eastern Conference, I guess I'm going to go 6. I got 6 for the Miami Heat against Brooklyn. And then the series we haven't talked much about, Wizards and Pacers. I agree with you. I think it'll be 7. I think this will be a better series for Roy Hibbert. Now there's some big bodies to go against Nene, Gortat, a little more conventional. Washington not quite ready. I'm going to go Pacers in 7.
And really, if Washington could shoot the ball at all, they might win that series.
That's the X factor. Ariza and Bradley Beal. If they get hot now, it's a different ballgame.
That's true. Michael Carter-Williams, that's another award that we forgot to mention. We got to hit a break. Michael Carter-Williams, the NBA Rookie of the Year. Congratulations to him and all the other award winners. Kevin Durant going to be lifting that trophy, and luckily he's not going to go Dirk. He's going to be lifting it from the house via satellite, live from his favorite business in Dallas.
That's so sad.
We've got Jameis Winston. We want to talk a little bit about his suspension is over, for those that don't know. Jameis Winston's suspension is over. We'll tell you how he got out of it and what we expect to come in football here in just a minute.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KARK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Jameis Winston. He has been a topic of conversation for well over a year. He's a famous Jameis before he even steps on the field. He goes out and he wins the Heisman Trophy. He wins the national championship game with the last-second touchdown pass. And then the rape allegations and the run-ins with the law. And then this last week, another run-in with the law for Jameis Winston, so to speak. I don't know that the law was necessarily involved as much as just here's a ticket, don't be stupid, for Jameis Winston. But welcome back into the Cogswell Motors studios here on the Sports Blitz. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Matty Lassiter. And Jameis Winston, for those that aren't familiar, got a citation last week for taking $32 worth of crab legs from a Publix in Tallahassee. I guess it's in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
They're across from the campus of Florida State University. And it's funny because he stole $32 worth of crab legs and he got a $30 citation. So he didn't even pay for the crab legs with that ticket. And we talked about this because, it's an issue because he got in trouble and, he's the Heisman Trophy winner. He was suspended from baseball. He had to do 20 hours community service. He completed that in a couple, I guess a day or two or three.
Yeah.
And he was reinstated to the baseball program, but the bigger issue has become, it was a funny thing. People were memeing this, putting pictures together with Jameis Winston with crab legs like on his body, or running with the crab legs instead of Heisman Trophy.
Holding the crystal ball.
Holding the crystal ball that's crabs. This type of thing. It was funny, but then the discussion turned to, well, how many strikes does this guy get? You had the rape allegations. You've seen that he's been in trouble a little bit. So I want to get to that first, and then I want to get to, kind of the way I have digested the information that I found and what I've come up with as far as what I think about Jameis Winston. But just the number of issues that is that an issue for you, how many run-ins with the law he's had?
Yeah, I don't like the accumulation of it. I don't like seeing, obviously, the big cheese, the elephant in the room is the sexual assault allegation. Now, nothing came of it, but it's still hanging over him. You've got some incidents on his recruiting visit. You've got, like I said, the BB gun shooting little incident. That's, kids being kids. But, I just don't like this stuff adding up because here's the thing. It's important. He is a quarterback. There are certain standards that are established when you're a quarterback. We're talking about Johnny Manziel right now. If Johnny Manziel were as sensational of a receiver or running back as he is a quarterback, wouldn't be near the talk about his off-field transgressions. But he's a quarterback. We talk about it. It's a heavily scrutinized position. You are expected to be robotic. Fair or unfair, that's what you're expected to do as an NFL quarterback, and that's how he's being looked at. He's talented enough. Talks are if he win the draft this year, he could be number one. So he is being looked at from an NFL prism, whether you think that's fair or not. And the prognosis from that is we don't want to see that. We want you Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning makes commercials now, but he's known for being in the film room, studying, preparing 24/7. Andrew Luck in that mold as well. We don't see Luck on any commercials or anything right now. And so to get in trouble, to paint yourself and your potential organization and all that in a bad light, it's just not a good look right now.
Really, the way you're talking about him being viewed as an NFL quarterback is the only way you can view him. He's won the Heisman Trophy. He's won a national championship in college. From now on, he's going to come back. He's going to try to win a national championship. But from now on, how he's going to be viewed is in the future tense.
Right.
Like, how is he going to turn out as a pro? It's a foregone conclusion that unless he blows an ACL and then blows it again and again and again, he's going to be a professional football player. So people are viewing him in that, okay, well, is he a character risk? He's not Pac-Man Jones, but is he Des Bryant? Is he an issue that we're going to have to deal with? You don't want to have to deal with guys like that, and especially at your quarterback position.
Exactly.
You got to have a leader of men there as your quarterback. But my thoughts kind of changed a little bit. Initially, when we heard about it, it kind of broke while we were on the show, and we were just kind of making fun. Aha, that was stupid. Why'd you do that? You got caught. You got to know that people are going to see you and know who you are. But my thoughts sort of changed a little bit on Jameis Winston when I heard a little bit from Marcellus Wiley on Sports Nation. He talked about how some friends of his from the Tallahassee area say that Publix, that grocery store, is notorious for taking care of the student athlete. In other words, like the big time athletes know that they can go into the Publix and they can get what they want. and they don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this process goes down. I know we talked about how you can make it go down a lot easier and not have to worry about having so many issues, but apparently, and maybe Jameis Winston, this was his first time, or maybe he just, he didn't know what he was doing and he blurted it out. I'm so-and-so told me to come in here and get what I wanted, and I can't find him, so I'm just going to leave. And somebody told on him. I don't know if it was an employee or another patron of the grocery store, but he got in trouble. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to be honest with you. If I were a college student and I knew that it was okay to go in there because the manager told me, you can get what you need. We're going to take care of you. Don't even worry about it. I wouldn't have a problem at all going in there and getting what I wanted. Those crab legs would have been in my cart if I were him. So I can't now. I'd be hypocritical if I were to say, I wouldn't have done that. Although it's not right. He took it. It was free. He didn't pay for it when he knows he should have.
Right.
If somebody tells me that I can have it, I've got a hard time saying no.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. Here's why I'm going to disagree with you, because I think you would have been smart enough to go about it differently.
Well, I probably would have, but I would have taken the crab legs.
That's what I'm about to say. See, because it was still, whether you have a system in place or not, you just don't, for obvious reasons, you don't walk out of a store with product right past the checkout counter. I mean, you just don't do it. You have a system. We talked about this on the last show. If you've got a system in place, there's got to be a card swipe or some type of acknowledgement through, because a patron, a young employer, an employee who is not privy to this can just say, look, this dude is walking out with product. I mean, there has to be some, if this has been going on for years, there's got to be some system of you go through the checkout line, you do something. Obviously, You're not paying money, but you got some swipe of a card or something. This dude was bright enough, and I say bright sarcastically, to get product and just just walk out the door. I mean, that's just not very bright.
No, I agree. And then the fact that we didn't hear from Jameis Winston throwing everybody under the bus, Publix and the entire university and whoever has done this for years, oddly, weirdly, and probably, it's probably not right, but I saw a little bit of an honorability in that he didn't just throw everybody under the bus and say, no, dude, we've been doing this for 2 years, and everybody that I know has been doing this for years and years and years. This is them, not me. You get off my back and get it on them because they told me to. So the fact that he didn't throw everybody under the bus, oddly as it sounds, I feel like there's a little bit of honor in that.
Yeah, well, Jameis Winston, when you talk about character, I always say there's football character and then there's off-field character. You ought to look at a guy like Michael Irvin compared to T.O. because they had character issues for completely opposite reasons. I want Michael Irvin, when I have to go to the vet with cold showers and messed up locker rooms, I want that guy in my foxhole. But off the field, some things may get sideways. T.O.'s off-field record, arrest record, clean as a whip. Football character-wise, he may rip my locker room apart. Jameis Winston, as a leader, as somebody you can trust as far as having your back, he is that guy. I just got to see that other stuff come into play.
Definitely. Well, that's Jameis Winston, and you can take your own angle on this, and I wouldn't be upset with you at all if you disagreed with me. I heard a lot of folks throwing rocks at Jameis Winston, but I just know if I were in his position, I might have done the same thing. Now, I wouldn't have, like Weldon said, I wouldn't have walked out. I wouldn't have been like, yep, leaving, got these crab legs, I didn't pay for them, I'm walking on out. I wouldn't have made a spectacle of myself, but I couldn't have said that I wouldn't have taken some free crab legs or free food if they'd have just said, all right, you just have what you want.
No, I can't say I blame.
All right, we got to hit a break. I thought Weldon was about to get into it there.
But we can get after the break.
All right, well, we got one more segment with the Sports Blitz right after this break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning, and we'll bring us our next chance right
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
All right, we're going to let Weldon go off on whatever it was that he was about to go off on before the break. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Matty Lassiter in the Cogswell Motors studios. We've talked local sports, we've talked NBA, and we've talked Jameis Winston most recently.
You act like I'm about to cuss everybody
No,
out.
you get after me.
I'm just here to pass some news along. Floyd Mayweather took on Marcos Madonna over the weekend. I watched it, and it was one of those fights where you said, okay, Floyd is just going to kind of blow through this one, but it was anything but. One judge, although I disagree with them, did call it a draw. Then Floyd won on the other two scorecards to win the decision, but it was one of those where Floyd, he stood in box. He said he stood in box because he wanted to give the fans what they wanted to see. I don't buy it. He said I could have picked him apart and did my thing where I dance around, but I wanted to give the fans some action. I don't believe it because he almost lost the fight. Really, there was a middle section of rounds where Floyd really took control, and I think that's how he ended up winning the fight. But the early rounds, Madonna was clearly winning the fight, and then the later rounds were kind of toss-ups. Floyd won some, Madonna won some, but he didn't look like himself. He's always been a guy who, every time he tries to stand in and box somebody, he never looks good doing it. He always flirts with disaster because that's not what he does. He's a technician. He's a defensive specialist. That's what he does. We know about the personal issues, or it's been talked about with Miss Jackson, his former fiance, and the issues, and it looked like something was weighing on him. I think if they have a rematch, is what they're calling for. I don't expect a good fight because I think Floyd can pick. Madonna's one of those guys with a lot of heart that throws a lot of punches, but I think if Floyd wanted to outpoint him and dance around him and pick him apart, I think he could do it because Madonna's just one of those, he's just going to swing. So if you get into a swinging match with him, you don't keep him in the fight. But if you outpoint him, I think Floyd could dispose of him.
You know what question's coming, don't you?
Yeah.
Is it going to happen?
Floyd's scheduled to fight. He's got a deal, I guess, with Showtime, whoever his deal is with. September, there's a slot, but I don't know if Pacquiao's available. From what I'm hearing, it would be at least next year, ish, before it could happen. So, it's always
you think about it. What year was it? About 06, 07?
That's about, yeah.
Where if they would have fought, they could have seriously just blank checked it and just made $100 million each.
Yeah.
Just seemed like they could have just done whatever they wanted to. And, man, I don't know. It probably hurts Pacquiao more than it hurts Mayweather that they didn't fight because Mayweather's still undefeated. Pacquiao, I'll fight all these other people, and then he got beat a couple times. So that's probably an issue that has hurt Pacquiao more than Mayweather that they didn't fight. But you listen to some of these folks who know boxing, and I'm not one who I like watching boxing some. Whenever I'm watching good fighters, I liked watching Jermaine Taylor back in the day when he was fighting Hopkins and that type of thing back in the day. But you talk to some of these folks and they say that Pacquiao could beat Mayweather. Now they're getting to the point now they're a little older, and the further away it gets, it seems like that they won't fight until like a last resort type thing. This is going to be the last big payday of our lives, and then we'll just go on from there. It seems just a little bit like robbery from the fans because back in the day, you watch the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even to a point in the 90s where the big names, it didn't matter. They fought. And then they'd fight again later, or they, win or lose, it was a good fight, and it took place in these fighters' primes. Yeah. And it's kind of a shame that those two haven't fought.
Well, you got the promoters in the game now. Obviously with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd. Floyd does most of his business. Bob Arum does Pacquiao's business. So getting those to agree on the money, that's always an issue. And the quality of the fight has already taken a decline. Even if they got in the ring now, it's not what it could have been 6-7 years ago. And if they wait even longer, it's going to get even worse. Pacquiao clearly is not the same as far as his punching speed. He still has some pop. Floyd, even though he had an off night, I still think physically he's lost a little bit of a step. I mean, he just has. So it would still be a good fight between the two, but I think it would just be a lower quality of fight because I think both guys have started to age a little bit.
All right, let's hit some hogs real quickly. The baseball team lost 2 out of 3 to Ole Miss. I'll just be honest with you, being in the hospital this weekend, I watched some NBA on the TV, but I didn't pay attention to the baseball game other than a little bit of Twitter updates. Yeah. Looked like the Hogs had a chance, just like they always do, to win the series. Just a pretty rough Friday and Saturday night for them. They won on Sunday to salvage the final game and not get swept, but they fall again. Yeah,
and they went down there, and it's bad to say, but they really accomplished their goal. If you talked, hear what people are saying, or kind of know what's going on around that program. Obviously, they would never admit it, the competitors in them, but you know who the number one hitting team in the league is? It was Ole Miss. You knew what was, I think, entering the weekend, the best pitching team or second best was Ole Miss. And so Ole Miss was like, they were on another level. And you went down there saying, okay, let's not get swept. And game one, Trey Killian, it seems like Trey Killian's like the sacrificial pitcher.
Man, poor guy. He's like 2-8 or something.
He's 2-8.
And he lost 4 complete games.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
2.42 ERA, and he's got a 1-something record. That's just, I feel bad for Trey Killian. And then you look at the ace, Jalen Beeks, throwing on Saturday. He had a chance, but he got himself in a jam, got himself out of one jam, couldn't get himself out of the second one. Ole Miss scores some runs to take the lead after Arkansas led early in that game. Explosive. It was 4-3 in the first inning for that game, too. And then Arkansas, Chris Oliver pitched well on Sunday. They got a few runs early, and they were able to salvage the series. So Arkansas still vying for a regional spot. The SECs may get double-digit teams in, which is absolutely unheard of. But that's how good the league is. They still need to get to 500, though, to make that happen. But they can do it, though. They got A&M this weekend, so they need to win that series.
He was right about Trey Killian being the sacrificial lamb. Poor guy's got no run support. And when it's just like, I don't know, he just had a rough go of it. He's much too good a pitcher to have that bad a record. So we'll see if they can go on and win some games and get in the tournament, make some noise. We've talked about this before, and we just got a couple minutes, and I want to get to the best hog, the future pro, here in just a second, our CrossFit Russellville poll question. But we've talked a little bit about Brett Bielema in the SEC coaches rank, some folks that are ranking the best coaches in the country and the best coaches in the SEC, and we've taken a little exception.
Yeah, I mean, some publications have him as low as 9th or 10th or even 12th. And then I think Sporting News had him up to 6th. And it just depends on how you weigh it. Are you weighing his Wisconsin, his total resume? Then, yes, he belongs in that 6th neighborhood. If you look at what he did last year, I'm just grateful.
Last or next to last?
Yeah, you got him next to Mark Stoops. I mean, they're battling it out for last place. So I think he's still learning the SEC, which is a little bit concerning as a fan, but could be encouraging that he's learning the recruiting landscape. He even acknowledged he did his own personal study. You know how he kind of likes to brag on the side when he does.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I see Georgia had more SEC recruits than any other school, and that's good to know. And so he's learning a little bit as he goes. I think he'll get the job done.
I think he's going to put in the work at least. And for one thing, I hated Petrino as great a coach as he was. He didn't care about getting the best recruits. He was just like, I'm so good that I'll get this guy and beat your, I'll get this 3-star and beat your 5-star because I'm a better evaluator than you. And I don't even have to put in the work. So
I know the feeling.
Drives me nuts to see Petrino succeed. So I just kind of want to see him fall off the map. But it's just like he fell off that Harley jerk.
Oh.
But finally, before we get out of here, we are out of time, but we've got today's CrossFit Russellville poll question. It's a good one, and it'd be a waste of a good question to not answer it. If you had to guess, who would you say, I say guess, if you had to give your opinion, who would you say is the current Razorback in any sport that'll make the best pro? I think you and I sort of agreed. I know Bobby Portis is going to be high on a lot of folks' lists. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to be successful in the NBA, I believe. But when you go to the football side, and you've got, running backs are a dime a dozen, so Jonathan Williams and Alex Collins and even Corliss Marshall, they may turn into really good running backs. It seems like a Trey Flowers or a Hunter Henry are going to be the guy.
I'm actually going to go with somebody in the linebacking core.
Oh, no, you're not.
I'm joking. You know that was a joke. I'm going to go with Hunter Henry. And I got Henry over Bobby Portis. Here's why. I think Bobby Portis is good enough to be a borderline lottery pick, which means he'll be picked relatively high. I think he's got a good chance to be a player and be a starter in the league. I can't go much past that. I think Hunter Henry has a chance to be a big-time tight end. I'm talking like one of the top 10 tight ends in the league. And there's a lot of athletes playing tight end, a lot of former basketball players. He may not be quite as tall or quite as fast as some of those guys, but in the end, I think he's going to be consistent. I think he does have more big play ability than what people give him credit for. I think Hunter Henry right now, all the kids on the Razorback campus right now, think he's got the brightest pro potential.
I think you're who? Darius Philon at tackle.
That's not a bad choice.
No, he will be pretty good, I'm sure. I do like Trey Flowers. I think he can be very good. Lots of good stuff coming out about Chris Smith right now. So maybe he'll end up being really good, and Trey Flowers as well.
Wednesday, if you're not going to be on father duty,
I think I'll be here on Wednesday.
Wednesday because the draft's Thursday. So hey,
we got a preview. Who's going to be the number one pick? Clowney.
It looks like Clowney. Yeah.
It's funny how a lot of trash talks about him and how he's just never worked a hard day in his life, and he's going to be the number one pick. Okay, I'll move him up my mock draft.
Comes in a circle.
Isn't that funny?
We start number one, comes back around in a circle.
Yeah, last year if you would have asked everybody before the season started last year who's going to be the number one pick this year, all this talk, and we've still got the same guy.
Khalil Mack.
No. Yeah, who? So it looks like we're going to have some fun previewing on Wednesday as we look at who's going to take whom. Maybe Johnny Manziel will go to the Cleveland Browns at number 4. I've heard some funny talk about the Cleveland Browns possibly trading down out of that number 4 pick and getting Derek Carr late in the first round and getting a couple other picks if they can and stockpiling some talent. And if not, they might take Johnny Manziel number 4. So there's a little bit of discussion. And if Johnny Manziel goes to the Dallas Cowboys, I'm done. I like Manziel, but I'm done.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. But if Cleveland trades down, if they get, because they're looking at a playmaker receiver to go with Cameron, to go with Josh Gordon, and they can get a quarterback they like, Cleveland may not know what to do with it, but they got weapons. They may not know how to handle those weapons, but they got a bad team. You look at that defense and what they got. They got some bad players on that roster. They can, I don't know.
We'll see. A little NFL draft preview on Wednesday. That's all the time we've got for today. So we got to get out of here. Going a little bit over, but so sue us. You can come back and watch the replay if you'd like to. You can find out a little bit more about the banquet if you go back. We've released the finalists at rivervalleyleader.com for the Brightest Stars banquet, and we also talked about them, mentioned them by name on Friday on the Sports Blitz show, so you can go back and watch that first segment and find out who the finalists are. For Weldon and Maddie, I'm Mark saying so long. We'll be back same time, 11 o'clock on Wednesday.